Okay, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome everybody to the Advice from Alumni Discover England webinar. My name is Hannah Hamilton. I'm ISA's Senior Program Manager for England and Scotland. I'm joined here today by some of our amazing alumni that are going to share some of their experience and answer some questions that you may have to help you out as you dive into what will be your experience in studying abroad in possibly England. So we're also joined here today with a colleague of mine from ISA, Jordan Harrison. He's one of our alumni relation coordinators. He's going to be monitoring the chat, so feel free at any point to drop some questions in there. He'll be also including some helpful links along the way to help support maybe some questions or further supplement some information that you're looking for. So before we hear from our alumni, let's take a quick look to see what all our England programs have to offer and why we love England, right? Culture, city life, food, transit, lots of amazing things there in terms of culture. English culture can be described with a wonderful mix of between old and new. It's super diverse. It's an international hub. There's not a specific culture that can really tie down what England is. It offers just a little bit of everything. It has a tremendous influence of the royal history. British people are, in my opinion, very polite and courteous. It's really easy to make friends along the way, especially once you get the hang of like the local humor and maybe some dialects as well. The city life, while studying abroad in ISA, you could live in one of the most world famous cities, London. You'll be traveling through it at some point in your program, regardless of which city you choose in England. You'll be immersing yourself in England's history by exploring museums, experiencing a football match in maybe one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, and just be left wanting more. If you're looking for a slower pace, but are eager to explore England's roots, we have Oxford and Reading. Enriched in culture, Oxford and Reading will give you an insider's look to the origins of England's poets and artists, and as well as the beautiful English countryside, all within an hour from central London. So lots of kind of diverse options available to you. Speaking of transportation, transportation around England and to Europe is extremely easy. The train system in England is really straightforward. It just makes your traveling on a day trip very easy around the country, smooth sailing, and everything's in English. So you don't have to worry about that language barrier as well, although you will definitely come across lots of unique dialects as well. So if you're looking to explore outside of England, there are multiple international airports within the Greater London area, and our students do often take advantage of the easy and accessible, even just weekend flights to Europe, for example. Food, always a popular travel topic of conversation, whether that's something you're craving the traditional fish and chips or tea and crumpets. England cuisine has it all. If you're eager to try some authentic food from other parts of the world, take advantage of having world-class international cuisine at your fingertips. Look no more, look no further. England definitely has that as well. So it is influenced by all various corners of the world. England is a foodie's dream with so many authentic types of cuisines to try, specifically maybe Indian or Middle Eastern. Okay, maybe moving on to our overall program options. Let's talk about what we've got. So we have, as mentioned, programs in London, Reading, and Oxford. We have 3 host cities with 8 host universities to choose from. There's really a setting and an academic opportunity for everyone. We have summer, semester, academic year, and then internship program opportunities as well. Each location, London, Reading, and Oxford, is going to be unique in their own way and own personality. So London, of course, one of the largest cities in the world. It has those iconic locations, the Big Ben, Buckingham Palace. It's a huge metropolis. It's a melting pot for people all around the globe, and it offers inhabitants a front row seat to all things pop culture, a political hub. It's just extremely cosmopolitan. So we have our 5 host universities that we offer in London, both summer semester and academic year, and then also internship program offerings there as well. So the full breadth of fields of study. So really anything that you're looking to study, you're going to find an option in London amongst one of our programs. Reading, a little bit different pace. It offers numerous music, art, and cultural festivals to explore. It is set in a beautiful countryside, just a gorgeous, smaller city along the river there. Beautiful. It's considered ranked the 4th greenest or environmentally friendly university in the UK, and the campus itself is an incredibly beautiful parkland. So a little bit different, but an easy 30-45 minute ride from central London. Oxford really doesn't need much of an introduction there. It has an extremely rich history, extremely academic prestige, just exuding in every inch of the city. So whether it is you're just studying in the quad outside of your on-campus dorm, or you're exploring through the University of Oxford colleges, visiting Harry Potter filming locations, or punting along the River Cherwell, which is a fun activity that inspired Lewis Carroll to write his Alice in Wonderland. No doubt, whatever your summer adventure looks like, it's definitely going to be filled with discovery. So 3 incredibly unique locations to host your study abroad experience. And as mentioned, with all of these different options, all of the different partner universities that we work with across England, no matter where you're hoping to study or what you're hoping to study, there should be a program option that will satisfy your academic needs. So during your program, you'll likely live in the host university's dorms. Depending on that program, on the program that you choose, it could be located right in the heart of a parkland campus, for example, like the University of Roehampton or Kingston University. Or it could be in a bustling urban area with daily commutes to and from class. So for example, the University of Westminster has a campus, an urban style campus just off Oxford Street, which is considered kind of the equivalent of London's Fifth Avenue. Queen Mary University is located right on Regent's Canal. You can literally look out your dorm window over onto one of London's famous canals and see the passing ducks and the narrow boats passing by. But you're also just a quick short walk to a London tube station, giving you access to anything and everything that London has right at your doorstep. All right, and kind of shifting gears a little bit, we do have an awesome team here. I'm a little bit biased because I'm part of it, but this is our ISA England team. We all work together to get you guys accepted into the program, answer your questions pre-departure, and then continue to provide the support with you on site. So these are the resident staff that we have abroad. They welcome you and receive you at the airport, provide you with the on-site orientations, and offer cultural excursions and activities throughout your time abroad. So Kasha there is on the bottom left. She is our resident director in Oxford. I'm on the top right. And then our 4 in the middle are our resident staff there in London and Reading. They're the resident staff for both London and Reading. So again, they're just great on the ground support, incredibly knowledge and experience in working with students and understanding kind of the nuts and bolts of the university systems and the way in which, the things that students are wanting to see. They'll be there to really expand your opportunities and heighten your experiences for your program abroad. And they're always available to lend an ear or just share some of their own personal favorite spots too. So many of you guys might have some concerns or questions about how the heck am I going to fund a study abroad? So funding and expenses is definitely a popular question. Many of our students do use financial aid and or scholarships to pay for their program. That's definitely something that we encourage and welcome you to do. So if you haven't already, I would encourage you work with the financial aid and study abroad offices on your home campus. Kind of understand what aid or scholarships would be eligible to travel with you abroad. And Jordan, I can see, is popping some important links into the chat there in terms of scholarships. ISA does offer scholarship opportunities, so it would definitely encourage you to pursue those. You may also want to reach out to your academic department at your home campus. They might also have some unique academic scholarship opportunities for you as well. So budgeting also is a wonderful thing too. If you don't already have a job, something that you could maybe put in place before going abroad, doing a little extra saving always helps. And then with the holidays rolling around, I have suggested to students in the past, maybe instead of asking for gifts this year, you can put together like a little study abroad GoFundMe and just ask family and friends to maybe offer some monetary gifts this year instead of traditional gifts this holiday season. Okay, so what's next? That's going to vary maybe for you guys. Some of you guys are maybe just in the initial stages of getting ready to think about study abroad. Some of you, I think I recognize some names here in the list, have already started the application process. So wherever you are in the process, definitely recommend that you work with your home university to make sure you are meeting any deadlines they have in place. What's the application process they have, making sure you're following those steps as needed, working on course approvals and understanding the classes that you're wanting to take abroad. How are those going to translate back into your degree plan here in the States? So I welcome you to reach out and set up an advising appointment with me. You can always call or email me as well with any questions, and I'll definitely be in touch with you throughout the process. I'll be kind of your main point person for all things England leading up to your time abroad. And then if you haven't already, if you're ready to take that step and move forward with the ISA application, Jordan's put a link into the chat about the ISA application. You'll see a couple of steps there to go through. And then ideally upon your acceptance, you'll receive another batch of acceptance materials, which talks about the housing and other contracts and program details too, just to give you some more information about what all is included on the back end of the program. Okay, so this is a fun picture here. This is some of our former Oxford students. They're standing in front of the Bodleian Library. They're all dressed up for their farewell event. So kind of right at the end of their program. I really love this picture. It's just a beautiful setting. Obviously, you can't take a bad picture in the entire city because it's just incredible. So just note that one. Anyway, so if you're just starting out or you're already enrolled in the program, it's always a fun to kind of connect with somebody who's been there and done that. We definitely appreciate the alumni that are here with us today, but we also have another link here for you to connect further with maybe some other individuals who have participated in a program before, or if you have some more personal questions in terms of your identity or culture abroad, you're definitely welcome to be connected, and we can try to connect you with someone who can maybe get you some more specifics about those types of details as well. So, all right, let's move forward and meet the alumni who have all had some firsthand experiences with their study abroad programs in England.
Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Martin. I'm a senior at the University of Central Missouri getting a degree in aviation management. And I studied at the University of Roehampton and London in the summer of 2022. Super fun experience, highly recommend.
Ilana, how about you?
Hi, I'm Ilana. I studied in London through Eckerd College, which is my home university, and then UCL there in spring of 2023.
Excellent. Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan. I currently go to Chapman. I'm a senior, And I studied abroad in London, also at University of Roehampton for the semester fall of 2022.
Great, thank you. So, all right, let's start off with an easy one. Why did you choose your particular city and program in England? Ryan, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, so I chose England partially because I'm an English major, and I was really
Mhm.
excited to kind of dive deeper into the literary history of the city. I grew up in a suburb, and I also go to college in a suburb. So I'd never spent time in a city environment that kind of fast paced. And I also just wanted to expose myself to new ideas. London is a really diverse city, and I didn't really realize the implication of that until I got there and how it really changed me as a person and gave me a lot of other different ways of thinking about things. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to expand my horizons, be in a space that's different from anything I'd ever been in before.
Awesome, great. Trevor, how about you? You also were at Roehampton. What drew you to the program?
Yeah, so I chose to go to London because it was relatively easier. It was one of the easier programs to incorporate into my aviation degree. There was a lot of programs that didn't offer what I needed specific to my degree. So I was able to satisfy a literature requirement at Roehampton with my aviation degree. So I did that. And then also I chose to go to London because there wasn't a language barrier. I was worried that I didn't want to go somewhere that I wasn't going to be able to effectively communicate with people, like locals and stuff like that. So I wanted to go to an English speaking country, which is another reason. And then the last reason was because I knew there's a lot of rich culture there. And the literature history there, like Ryan mentioned, was really rich and robust. So I got to kind of learn about that and dive deep into the history of London and its literature while I was there.
Great, awesome. Okay, Ilana and Ashlyn both went to Eckerd. They were with us in London this past spring. Ilana, what inspired you to go to London?
Yeah, I think mine's a little similar to Trevor's. It was really um, easy with the language. I was worried if I went somewhere where I didn't speak the language, I might not be able to immerse myself as much and create as many experiences. And then also, I'm a biology major, so the program that I went with just made it really easy so that I wouldn't be behind in my degree. And I was able to get my arts credit done in London with taking a theater class. So that was really fun.
Great, awesome. Okay, Ashlyn, I think you are maybe having some connectivity issues, but it looks like you're here. So same question to
I'm
you.
here. Yeah, I'm so
Okay,
sorry about that.
no worries, it happens.
Yeah, so I also went to Eckerd and they just make it super easy to like transfer all your credits. And so the London program was the one that fit the most closely with my major. It was with a professor that I trusted. And again, the language barrier and living in the city were also big motivations for me.
Great, awesome. Okay, so even after you decide where you want to go, study abroad obviously can be a little bit daunting. Ilana, you want to share with us maybe what your biggest concern was leading up to the program?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest fears was I didn't know many people that were going. And so there was like, I think around 20 of us from Eckerd that were going. And like, although I knew of a few of them, I didn't have any close relationships. So that was kind of my biggest concern was like, am I gonna make friends? Am I gonna fit in? Am I gonna be alone in this big city? So that was kind of the biggest thing that freaked me out. But it ended up all being okay. We were like one big family. So it worked out
Awesome,
really well.
love that. Yeah, definitely going abroad, maybe for the first time or maybe for your 15th time can still, of course, be overwhelming. Ashlyn, were there any of these types of overwhelming thoughts on your mind that maybe made you a little bit nervous going abroad? And how were you able to kind of find your rhythm once you were overseas?
Yeah, absolutely. I had never been out of the country before I studied abroad. And so it was kind of a jump off the deep end for me. I'm going to live there for 3 months. Um, And yeah, so I was very nervous just about functioning as a human being in a different country, which sounds kind of silly, but I just had no idea what to expect. I didn't know if people were going to be nice. I didn't know what navigating the city looked like. Like, what does the tube system, what is that? And how do I navigate all of that? But yeah, it was, I kind of just, like I said, jumped off the deep end and learned how to trust myself very quickly. And yeah, it was so incredibly rewarding.
Awesome. And I feel like it needs to be said that everybody that's studying abroad is all in the same position. Maybe there's some students that have never gone abroad, while others are better or more traveled rather. But everybody still has those same uncertainties and those same questions. So that's just a very normal part of the experience, and adds to the accomplishments achieved at the end. So keeping in line, Trevor, how about you? What were some of the things maybe that were a little bit daunting and overwhelming going into the program?
I think really just a mix of what Ashlyn and Ryan said both. It was my first time out of the country as well. So I had those like anxious feelings of not knowing what to expect. So I dealt with that like for a while. And then towards like when it was getting closer to my program, I was worried that I wasn't gonna be able to find friends and that I wasn't gonna know what to do. And so there was just a lot of these irrational thoughts that were coming to me towards the beginning of the program. And just so all of the prospective people know, those feelings are totally normal and they will dissipate with time once you get there and like get more comfortable. You realize that everything you were worrying about pre-trip isn't even a problem now that you're on the trip. So
And they're not irrational. I would say they're rational. They're rational thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely can be a lot going abroad, especially if you don't know anybody that's going to be joining you on the program or in the entire city of London as a whole. Ryan, do you have any advice for students that are maybe on the fence about going or have those types of reservations?
Yeah, so I think for me, honestly, the hardest part wasn't even being in England. It was more of like before, just like worrying about everything that could go wrong. Um, it didn't come to pass. It was the best time of my life. But I think wait, the question was wait, what was the question? Is this the same one as before or
Just, yeah, any kind of reservations, or for students that are maybe on the fence, what kind of advice would you share with them?
Okay. Um, hmm. I think I think the hardest part definitely is before you go. I think once you get there, it's a lot easier because everyone is kind of together. I think I was scared about not making friends, but none of us knew, like I didn't know anyone. I knew no one. I knew no one in the city. But it really was a non-issue because of the way that the program's structured. You do get picked up from the airport. You all like hang out in that space for a good long time. There's lots of events going on at the beginning that really facilitate bonding. Um, and even for me, like I didn't plan on yeah, anyway, I think I would just try not it's not helpful because I know you're gonna worry. Like it's gonna be worrisome, but at the end of the day, you're going to do what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like when you're in a situation, you're going to surprise yourself with how you can handle it because you have no choice. Um, and it really teaches you a lot. And I mean, everyone did it. Like we all did it. Like we all succeeded. I don't know anyone who regretted it. We all had a good time. So I think I just say like it's a hard thing to do, but it's really character building and it's just really fun. So I would just say like take the leap, just do it. You'll learn to trust yourself and then it'll make doing things like that in the future again a lot easier.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good segue into the next question in terms of talking about making friends. And it's definitely a concern that we hear from students every, start of every program. So you kind of already addressed that, Ryan, in terms of like how you interacted and engaged with friends. Trevor, can you speak to like ISA's orientations and excursions and how maybe they helped with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So making friends abroad really wasn't a challenge for me, really because those ISA excursions were available. I made sure to attend all of the like kickoff events, if you will, of Roehampton at the beginning of my program because I knew that there were going to be a lot of students there trying to figure out what was going on, and so I knew that that would be a good opportunity. Um, but with the ISA excursion specifically, they are a really good opportunity to kind of give yourself exposure to other people who are doing the same thing as you and maybe at different universities. So during my trip, I think we went to we took a few different excursions, and there were students on my trip that weren't even going to my university, but they were also a part of a study abroad program through ISA. And so it was nice to be able to get to meet them and like see what their journey abroad has been, and if it's been their first time, and really just being able to exchange contact information there and keep in touch. The excursions provide a really good opportunity for you to have people around you that you know can open up to and talk to. But also, I think talking to people in your classes is also a really good way to make friends, because it gives you an opportunity again to connect with similar people, and rely on people that may be able to help you in the class. And so just don't be shy to talk to people and just say hey. So
Awesome. And Ashlyn, how about you? Were there maybe some events on campus or certain ways in which you connected with people, engaged?
Definitely. So for me, like Ilana said, we kind of all lived in the house together, and I really wanted to connect with people in London who weren't necessarily a part of Eckerd. And one way that I did that was there was a market that I found that ran every Thursday right down the street from our house, right outside of UCL. And so that was just a very casual environment to get some food and meet some people and who were close to my age and like studied in London. And so that was a really awesome resource for me.
Perfect. Love that. Yeah. It's always fun to connect, and then kind of you almost feel like a local, that just going to like a regular routine, going to the market or something. Okay, so moving on to a little bit more of a serious topic, the academics. Campus life and coursework can look pretty different from what we're used to here in the States. So Ilana, would you maybe take a moment to talk about your experience at UCL? Were your classes similar to the ones at your home university? Maybe any differences that you recognized?
Yeah, so our professors actually came to the Eckerd House to teach, which was very different because we all would just sit in the living room and listen to a lecture. But the class is also set up incredibly different. So we only had exams or papers due. There wasn't really homework or like quizzes or anything like that. I think most of my classes were just there's a midterm and then there's a final exam or a final essay. And a lot of our classes were really hands-on. Like we would go outside if it was a literature class, and we would visit an author's house that we were reading about and then read the piece there. Or for our policies class, we would visit a jury and watch a trial, something like that. So it was really interactive.
Love that. The experiential learning piece for study abroad is just unmatched, in my opinion. So I love it when students can be taking a class, but then firsthand go and see the subjects of the courses or just kind of live it on the streets. I think that's extremely unique. So Ryan, how about you? University of Roehampton, how did it compare to your home university academics?
Right, so I was there for a semester, same as I would at school. Personally, I didn't find much of a difference in terms of class content. It is similar to what Ilana said about how I think I only had 3 assignments in each of the classes, and it truly was like a presentation and then a midterm and a final. And I'm an English major, so these were all papers. Um, Grading wise, I didn't find that it was graded any harder than at home, honestly. I just think the grading scale was different and it translated the same as I think it would. They worked that out. So I felt fine about that. But I will say that it is true that I think a lot of classes have field trips because I think in all of my classes we went into the city. And I think part of it is because of how accessible the city is. It's easier to do these field trips because you just take the public transportation. Yeah, I went to see some plays through a theater class I took. I saw literally 8 plays, which is crazy. And then for like an English class, I got to go see this like operating theater where they do like Victorian surgeries, like in like the 1800s, really cool. So I really enjoyed the academics. I didn't find them to be any much more difficult or easier than at home. And I was initially worried about how the grades would translate because I wanted my GPA to be the same, and it actually translated kind of as I wanted. I felt like that was a fair translation. So yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, again, shifting gears a little bit, we'll do a little bit more of a kind of a rapid fire on packing. What is one thing you wish you had brought and one thing you brought, but you didn't really need it? Trevor?
Something that I packed extra was probably like some clothes. I definitely overpacked my clothes way too much. I underestimated my ability to rewear clothes, which later took up more room in my suitcase, which I'll get into. But don't overpack for sure, because that just adds more struggle to your journey on getting there. So definitely packed too much clothes, didn't need all those. And then something that I didn't pack that I ended up needing. I don't know if I ran into that situation, but something that may occur frequently, there are different charging ports in the UK, specifically where I was. I had to have, I think, like a 9-watt charger or something. The prongs are a little bit different. So I'm glad that my study abroad office and ISA let me know that before going, because I didn't do my own research on power adapters there. And if I would have got all the way to London without a power adapter, I wouldn't have been able to charge up. So just little things like that, I think are pretty important.
Perfect. Ashlyn, how about you?
Kind of similar to what Trevor said, I brought full-size toiletries in my checked bag, and I just did not need to do that because like you're not in going to the middle of nowhere. Like you will have access to a store, and so it would have been a lot easier for me to like not bring any of those things with me and just buy them once I got there. So that's my piece of advice there.
Perfect. Ryan, how about you?
So something I didn't bring that I wish I brought is shower shoes, because I ended up sharing a bathroom with a few people. I didn't know I'd be sharing a bathroom, and it's just nice to have a pair of like cheap flip-flops just in case. I wish I had that. Um, Also comes in handy for like walking around like floors and common areas and stuff. I'd bring like a pair of cheap flip-flops, and the other thing that I brought too much of or didn't need was shorts, because I went there in the winter. I think one pair of shorts is acceptable. I think that's smart. But I brought like 8 pairs of shorts and I didn't wear them once. Like I wore none of them. So not to say it wasn't warm, like I definitely wore t-shirts some days, but it wasn't shorts weather all the time. I was there in the fall again. So pack smart. I didn't bring a jacket either, and that wasn't smart. Like you really need a jacket in the city. So yeah, maybe look up the weather before you get there. That's what I should have done.
Awesome. Okay, so we might have a few students here in the audience who have not yet applied. Can y'all speak to how far in advance you applied for your program, or just any advice that you can share kind of during the application process? Ilana, want to start us off?
Yeah, so I honestly can't remember if my school's deadline and ISA's deadline were the same, but I just went off my school's deadline. And I think we had like information sessions probably like 2 semesters before we went. And then the application was like the semester before. And so I was originally supposed to go in the fall actually, but it got canceled due to COVID. So I was just kind of put on the next trip. So I might not be the best person to ask because I was just kind of booted on, but
Okay, no worries, that's fine. Ryan, how about you?
So I was studying abroad in fall of 2022. So I was gonna be leaving for England in September. I started the application. I think I started planning where I wanted to go in literally December the year before, and I started thinking about it more more thoughtfully, I think in January and February, because I think my school's deadline was in April. And then I think an ISA's deadline was in May, something like that. I think my school's deadline was a month before. And that's something to definitely look at, because you have to clear it with the school first before you can apply to ISA. So don't only look at ISA's deadline, also look at your schools. But yeah, and I think it's never too early to start looking into it, because again, I think I started the process 9 months before I left. Always good to plan ahead, never too early to start thinking about what you might want to do. Yeah.
Perfect. Trevor or Ashlyn, y'all have any specifics you want to? I want to make sure we leave plenty of time for Q&As, but if you guys have any like hot tips for the application
Yeah,
process.
I think Ryan really covered the majority of it here. Personally, it took me 6 months to do my paperwork. And so in total, I think my whole planning session from the first time I like met with my study abroad office until I was approved by both my university and ISA and ready to go, I think was a total of like 9 months. So make sure that you give yourself enough time and get your forms submitted on time. And there's a lot of steps in the process, but it's important that you do them correctly. So just do them.
Perfect.
I was just going to add that I also had to talk with my mentor in my major to make sure that all of my classes would be accounted for. So that's something to keep in mind too. It's not just the study abroad office.
Yep, great inclusion there. I'll say, just because we're kind of on topic, we have our spring application deadlines coming up as early as October 1st. So that is next weekend. Some of them are being extended to October 10th, but just wanted to make sure if there's any of you that are looking at the spring semester, those deadlines are coming up here quickly. Obviously, plenty of time to start looking at summer and fall of 24 as well, but just thought I'd throw that in there now. Okay, one more final question, last but not least. Students always talk about the life-changing experience studying abroad can be. Let's talk maybe about the moment that you'll never forget. Ilana?
So this might sound like a silly moment, but for our spring break, my friend and I went to Ireland, and I planned the entire trip. She was just kind of like, you plan and I'm tagging along. And so I planned like our flights, our like bus trips to the different cities, our like hotels, our hostels, which was an interesting story, some day trips, but it just felt really empowering, and like I felt really independent and like a grown up to be able to be like, hey, like I planned all this, and yeah, and it worked out. And then when it didn't work out, we figured it out on the fly. So
Excellent. Ashlyn?
I have a similar moment. Within my first week in London, I got lost on the tube, just like got off at the wrong stop and totally just had no idea where I was. And my phone was also dead. So I really just was like freaking out for a minute. Like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what to do. And I was able to find my way. And so that was just a super, kind of like Ilana said, a super empowering, like, okay, I can trust myself. And it just, my whole experience abroad gave me confidence in myself that I had never had before. So that was, yeah, changed my life for sure.
I think the biggest moment for me was when I was making my arrival into London. I was just sitting on the airplane after the long flight, and I just was looking out the window. The whole landscape had changed from what I, had remembered flying out of the US. The whole, just like everything looked different. And it just like took me a minute to process that I was actually in another country. And like a lot of, like Ashlyn said, it just is a really empowering feeling to know that you're really there by yourself. It's a bit scary, but once you realize, that you can do it, you're capable of doing it, it does instill that sense of like self capability, like Ashlyn was mentioning. But I think that was the biggest part of my trip, was just it finally hitting me that I was actually there and that the program was getting ready to start.
Yep, you're officially doing it. Awesome. Okay, Ryan, last but not least.
So I think mine was actually, funnily enough, on the plane back home after the trip. I just felt like I was comparing how all the emotions of when I was flying there with now the way back, having gone through that experience. I was kind of comparing this image of like wondering what might be with how it actually was. I was just thinking about how I changed so much over that short period of time, how going home, I feel like I'm such a different person now and everything's kind of different, in a really good way. And yeah, I just think it was really crazy to kind of like have this like highlight reel of all these moments playing in my head and like looking back at photos. Couldn't believe that it was over. And yeah, I think that was like a really cool moment for me. Feelings of success.
Awesome. The retrospective perspective. Love it. Okay, that kind of wraps up our questions here. I know a couple of our alumni have to maybe jump off to head to class, so want to definitely just share our appreciation for their time and energies and reminiscing on their study abroad experience. So thank you very much for your time and dedication to just sharing your experiences. Appreciate you guys.